Theodore Robert Bundy was born Theodore Cowell to Eleanor Louise Cowell in a home for unwed mothers in 1946 in Vermont. He was raised for the first few years of his life with his grandparents and his mother in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, believing that his mother was his sister and his grandparents were his parents. Some believe that this early life influenced Bundy in later years and shaped his life course. Ted and his mother moved to Tacoma, Washington in 1950, and shortly thereafter Louise married and changed her son's name to Theodore Robert Bundy. Bundy stayed in Washington throughout his schooling and was a proficient student, graduating from high school and continuing on to college in Washington. Bundy appeared in his early adulthood to have a bright future despite some problems in college, including a failed relationship with a girlfriend, Stephanie Brooks. He was an honor student and active in the political scene in Washington, particularly with the Republican Party, and worked at the Seattle Crisis Clinic. He was a man with many accomplishments and a seemingly ideal citizen. Criminal career: many believe Bundy's first murder occurred in 1974, when a young woman was taken from her basement apartment in Seattle. Only bloodstains were left behind. A wave of abductions of young women around the King County area in Washington followed. Skeletal remains of the missing women were found later in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains. Bundy often rendered his victims unconscious and took them to remote locations, where he strangled them. All his victims were young females, most in their college years. After Bundy moved to Utah in 1974, disappearances of young women also began there. In 1978, Bundy entered the Chi Omega sorority house in Florida and beat 5 girls, killing 2 by strangulation and biting one of the deceased on her left buttock. The teeth imprints eventually helped to convict Bundy. A month after the sorority attacks, Bundy abducted, assaulted, and killed a 12-year-old girl, Kimberly Leach. Legal action and outcome: Bundy was first arrested in Utah in 1975 for suspicion of burglary. He was then identified in a lineup for an attempted kidnapping that had occurred in 1974 and sentenced to 1 to 15 years in prison on the charge. In 1977, he was extradited to Colorado to stand trial for a 1975 murder. In June 1977, Bundy escaped from jail and was recaptured 6 days later. He escaped a second time in December 1977 and fled to Tallahassee, Florida. He was arrested there in February 1978 as he drove a stolen car. After his arrest in Florida, Bundy was indicted on 2 counts of murder and 3 of attempted murder. He went on trial in June 1979 and was found guilty. Then, in 1980, Bundy was found guilty of the Leach murder and received a death sentence for that crime. Ultimately, Bundy was given 2 death sentences and 3 90-year sentences. He spent the next 10 years on death row, using legal tactics to delay his execution. In January 1989, the state of Florida executed Bundy for the death of Leach. In popular culture, public fascination with Bundy and his crimes continued long after his execution, resulting in retellings of his story in a variety of media, including books, film, and television. Written even before Bundy's execution, the book Bundy, The Deliberate Stranger, by journalist Richard W. Larson, chronicles what was known of his crimes at the time, and was subsequently adapted for television as a film of the same name in 1986. At the same time, true crime writer Ann Rule published her work The Stranger Beside Me, which gives insider insight on Bundy and his crimes, as she had been a personal friend of his. The book Ted Bundy, Conversations with the Killer, which was originally released in 1989, provides transcripts of more than 100 hours of interviews conducted with Bundy by journalists Stephen G. Michaud and Hugh Ainsworth while he was on death row. Material of these tapes was used to make the Netflix docuseries Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, which was released to great media hype on the 30th anniversary of Bundy's execution. That same year, after films such as the made-for-television film The Riverman, in which Cary Elwes played the notorious serial killer, and books such as Kevin M. Sullivan's The Bundy Murders, a comprehensive history had further kept interest in Bundy alive. The Netflix film Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, starring Zac Efron as Bundy, was released. Impact, although not the first serial murderer in American history, Ted Bundy was one of the most intriguing because of his charm and ability to manipulate his victims and the legal system. Bundy enjoyed taunting the police and baiting the media, reveling in the attention. Scholars are still unsure of the exact number of Bundy's victims because of the fact that Bundy never fully confessed, although he had been connected to the deaths of at least 30 women. Even up until the last minute, Bundy tried to manipulate and con his way out of execution by offering to confess to his crimes. Ultimately, his ploy did not work.